All right. Here are the messages for this full moon in August, which is in Aquarius for tropical, and I believe it's in Capricorn for sidereal, but I'll take care of that. I'll double check on that. So the very first card that I pulled, and this is using the Hoodoo Tarot deck, was the Eight of Knives. And with the Eight of Knives, like, first, before I get into that, what I was feeling, I had, I forget what you call it. I had a download. I said, what's that term? I had a download a couple of days ago about this full moon coming up. And with the full moon coming up, I was getting that I needed to tell people that they needed to cleanse themselves, get themselves cleared, use this moon as a cleansing opportunity, because a lot of people, or this energy is particularly useful for clearing, but there's also something about this energy that is kind of restrictive. That's restrictive, and it's going to require a type of ingenuity. And the ingenuity I'm speaking of it's like, this is kind of exemplified in this Eight of Swords card, and I'll explain. Eight of Knives, where there are going to be opportunities presented to you, but you might be in a box. It could be a box of traditionalism that you're bogged down by, I don't want to say ancient beliefs, but by traditional beliefs, by bogged down by the mundane, but bogged down by what's expected of you, bogged down by what you know, and you're not thinking outside of the box. Or you're not, and it may not be outside of the box as in unusual, what we think as, for Aquarian or Uranus energy. It could be something simple as something that's different for you. Something that came up visually when I was pulling these cards was, I like the Mummy series with, oh my God, I can't remember his name, Brendan Fraser. I know there's new ones with Tom Cruise. I haven't seen them, to be honest, but what I like, you've seen the first two. You'll see a lot of the times, Rick, who's the main lead character, he's trying to bust in the walls, bust into things, and use this brute force. And then Evie, who is the more book smart librarian Hermione type, she is the type to go, well, or we could, use this lock, because of her knowledge she has about ancient Egyptology and some of the mechanisms. She's like, or we can use this lock. And then in the second movie, you see that they've kind of rubbed off on each other a little bit, because I believe in the first scene of The Mummy, you see Evie trying to use Rick's way of getting into this room. I don't remember what the room was for. It had some artifact in it. And then Rick is like, how about we do your way? And he's doing the more like, I'm figuring this out. I'm using the locks. I'm using my knowledge of how this system works to get in, not just brute force. So that's the sense. But in that sense also, I would say, how are you manifesting things? How is your approach to things that you want? If you are someone that uses a more receptive way of manifesting, a more allowing, just being open to receive, maybe try the more aggressive way. And then if you're someone who uses the more direct, penetrating way of manifesting, which is what we normally do with manifesting, it's that go-getter energy. We're gonna put in the work to get something. We're not just gonna sit back and let it come to us. Then maybe consider doing that instead. It could be just that. My throat is sounding froggy. 1 second. So anyways, I wanted to talk about that. It feels like there's going to be potential there. And again, it almost feels like if you're trying to get something done, it's like it might get more difficult before you actually get a breakthrough. And this time feels like it's a pressurizing time. I don't think it's intended, and it can be separating out the wheat from the chaff, or separating out the people who really want something, or I don't want to say that really want it because that doesn't feel right, who are more able or aligned for something and have the everything that they need, or let's just say, you know what I'm saying, they have more of the components of what's necessary to move forward. Hopefully I'm making sense. I feel like I'm a little scattered and all over the place, but I'll try and re-listen and actually redo this if this comes out like completely all over the place. So anyways, going back to the very first card that I pulled. And first, I want to start off. I already started off. So that was my first download, and me getting the sense that I was going to give a reading, because this just feels like a time of shifting. And I noticed that it could just because it's before the fall, that we're going from this, very expansive summertime, things being warm, to going to a more, colder, we're going into like harvest season and things of that nature. It could simply be that. And, school starting back up, so there are changes. I feel like opportunities are shifting around. And for some people, this is going to be a time to pay attention to. What else? I haven't done these in so long, I'm all over the place. But that's okay. So looking at this Eight of Swords, and then I'll go into the other cards. Eight of Knives, excuse me, because I want to use the terminology with the deck. What you see is a man at a crossroads. And at this crossroads, there are two knives. There are two swords or knives in the middle of each path, kind of indicating this is blocked. These areas are blocked off. You're not allowed. But what you see when you really look at it is that these boundaries, although it's a boundary, it's not really a boundary. It's not a barbed wire fence. And let's just say it was. Let's just say those two swords were barbed wire fences. If you look at this crossroads, you see that there's the areas of land. So you have the road, and then you have the land, that's separating the road. If this person wanted to go on the path, he could take the alternate way of walking onto the grass and then walking on the road, or walking on the grass and going beyond that. And now that I'm looking at this card, it reminds me of a card, I believe it's from Psychic Tarot of the Heart. And what it is that, I don't remember the name, but it's a image that I like because it exemplifies the same feeling that I'm getting with this Eight of Knives. And it is equal to the Eight of Swords in tarot, in traditional tarot, where this person is looking and they look kind of despondent because they see all these mountains in front of them. And there's this road and these mountains in front of them, and it looks like it's impassable. But if you look at the mountains, there is a space in the middle. Like if you're looking to get through it, you can see a way through. But if you're just looking like, man, that's an obstacle, and you don't think more about how I'm going to get around this obstacle, then you're going to stay stuck. So it's the feeling of being bound, being trapped. It's this feeling of being trapped, but you're not really trapped. And in my opinion, in this energy, it feels like many people are kind of they have this sense of being, trapped in fear. And this fear can come from emotional places, as in it can be a fear, self-limiting beliefs, not believing in yourself, not having confidence and faith in yourself, having low self-esteem, so you don't believe that you can do these things. You don't believe that you can get through the struggles to get to the end here. So that's what I'm getting on this. It's like, okay, so what do we do about it? So it's like, this is what's going on. Like full moon, I think the full moon is going to be I feel it's illuminating. It's illuminating it in the sense that it's illuminating in the sense that, yes, it's protective. It feels like, yes, it's protective. It can be, it's like breaking out of that, those self-negative patterns. So I'm just going to say that, is what I'm getting there. And also, sorry, so more things that I wrote down. So I also wrote down a bunch of things. I have feeling trapped, stuck. Your blessings are blocked. And one of the key words when it comes to the word 8, I know it's seen as being abundance, but when I think of it in the context of, tarot and overall, like it being a more expansive number and interpretation, it's transformation. I think of Plutonian energy, and I don't know if there's a number for Pluto. I actually think, again, part of a download I got maybe some days ago was like, is 8 a number for Pluto? And I don't know. That's something that's completely separate, but I'm saying that so I can look it up later, because I don't know if Pluto has officially a number, but I think that might be a personal association for me. Complex brainstorming, or brainstorming for a problem when the solution is simple or it's right in front of you. And that's what I was alluding to with this card. And in the other card, if I can find, if you can look up, or whoever's listening to this, look up, I can't tell you. I'll probably find it and add it to the bottom, because I don't know the name of the card. I just know if you have the Psychic Tarot deck, if you look at whatever suit that is associated with swords, and you look at 8 in that deck, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a card with mountains on it. And I don't remember how the road looks. I think there's a road, there's a man in a road that goes through mountains, 2 mountains, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But this 8 of Knives card here, with the being at the middle of the crossroads, gives me that vibe. Okay, but something else I meant to bring up was the crossroads. So that's what I have written here on my digital notebook. That crossroads are, really, powerful places. And if you have a connection to, a crossroad deity, like some people, if you have a connection to Papa Legba, you may consider that. And, oh God, that was the other thing that I got as far as my download. I'm remembering now. That Papa Legba, it was calling to people who work with him, and maybe even some people that don't, to get rid of some of this energy. Like this upcoming full moon, what was coming up for me, and as far as like me giving a message to people, like a collective, or just getting the message out for whoever needs to hear it, is that get rid of your emotional, I don't want to say emotional drama or trauma, but get rid of some of these things that are holding you back, that are, I don't want to say imaginary, but they're things that you've built up in your own mind, and they're not as large as you believe them to be. It's time to let that go. And with this energy, because if you don't let it go, with the energy of what I brought up earlier, which is there's an energy of restriction, like opportunities being like close, like maybe right behind the door, but you have to go through a room first. That room is filled with, like, I don't know, like I'm thinking of game shows, it's filled with nothing but like balls, maybe those little Blinko balls, I forget what they're called, but you know what I'm talking about, them colorful ass balls. They'll just fall out of the room, so you have to figure out how to get rid of all the balls before you get to the opportunity in the closet that's in the room with all the balls in it. It feels like that. I'm sorry if I feel like, if this sounds like so out there, but this is what I'm saying. Like, this is what I'm getting, like, visually. It's like, if you don't get rid of or it, let me not say if you don't get rid of, as in it's saying, well, you're doomed, because I don't feel it's a oh my God, I'm getting wheezy, hold on. So again, going back to that message that I was saying before, was that it's very beneficial, like for the things that you're ready to clear. It's like there's events, there's things coming up where it'll be just beneficial to not have all that, extra baggage. If you can get rid of it, if you can process it, or if you can at least start the process of getting rid of it, because the energy's coming up, and I'm not sure for how long they're going to last. It feels like it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be around a month, that this is like there's opportunity coming through, but you're in a better position to take advantage of these opportunities, and aligned for you personally if you've processed some of these things that may hold you back. Because it might be something that if you don't take immediate action on it, that it's going to be lost forever. And I'm not saying that to be, or it's going to be something that you may regret missing. That's probably a better way to say that. And it's just giving me that vibe. So that is the message from the Eight of Knives. So then I went to my intention was just to pull one card, and let me just pull this one card and like give me a message. But after that, I was like, sometimes I'll get the feeling that, okay, pick up another deck. So I picked up my Wild Unknown deck and I shuffled and I just asked for, whatever cards. And immediately I got 2 cards. One card was and I feel that it was, the one was definitely confirming the message I got. And it's very often, for me, it's not unusual for me to get doubles. Or if you notice, if you're using 2 decks and you're pulling on a specific situation, if you get the same card in a different deck, and even more rarely, the same card throughout 3 different decks, that's a message. And you should probably take that card and really dive deep into the meaning of that energy, because that is a consistent energy that's coming up that will be beneficial for you. So I got my 8 of Pentacles card reversed. And my 8 of Pentacles card is actually one of my favorite cards to get in a tarot reading, depending on what's around it. But the fact that it's reversed here, I feel that is supporting the message that I got earlier, that if this person who feels like they're in this 8 of Swords, this 8 of Knives situation, if they don't figure out a way, number one, out of the box that either they've constructed for themselves, they feel that they're in there, or they feel that by other people put them in a box, or they don't give them the opportunity to do what they need. If they don't figure out a way to break out of that and kind of forge their own path, that the opportunity, I feel in this case, the opportunity to work on your craft, to advance in your career, to go from a student to a master, or from a student to advance in your career and become more than just a student in this sphere, it's not going to come to pass. This could be either you being a student. This card is typically seen as a craftsman or artisan card, like someone, like an apprentice working on their craft and, leaving the apprenticeship or working on leaving the apprentice role and becoming a master, becoming someone who they're completely done with their field of study, or their, amount of whatever the basics they need to become, a legitimate, I don't know. I like using the electrician example because I think it's probably one of the things that in this day and age, like now, that's like the most similar. I think to be an electrician, you need at minimum like 6 years. I think you need to apprentice as an electrician for at least 2 to 3 years. I don't know. I used to know someone who knew someone. I believe. I don't really look into like electrician stuff. I don't know any personally, but I believe from the last person I talked to, that was some years ago, or that I know of. Excuse me. It was a friend of a friend. That's kind of how it is, at least where I live. So it feels like, again, this being reversed, I feel like that's what that means. That you're not going to be able to do these things, or it's going to be harder. And that sense is similar to what I was picking up on. And I haven't looked at the transits yet. I've been putting that off, so I may take a quick look at the transits and add what I feel like how that feeds into this or doesn't. But I feel like there's something. I mean, of course, we have Aquarius if you're going by tropical. Of course, we have Aquarius, and that's equated to like Uranus. It feels very much Uranus, like get a little weird to get out the situation, or people who are considered black sheep, or do you think you're going to be the black sheep of your industry, something of that nature. So that was just kind of like, it feels like Uranus energy coming through, but Aqua is Uranus energy, so I'll see what Uranus is doing in the sky coming up. And then the next card I pulled while I was talking about devils, or the next card that fell out, was the Eight of Swords in the Wild Unknown. And I'll describe to you this card, and I did take a picture of it and attached it to my post on Twitter. But I ended up getting 2 more cards when I looked at the bottom of both decks, because I got the guidance too, and I feel that they also play into this message. It is one sword holding up a cocoon. It looks like a monarch butterfly cocoon. And the remaining 7 swords are in a circle around this cocoon. So it's like this person feels like, in this sense, it's very similar actually to the other card, except for there's no crossroads. And it's a little bit more.
I'm not his child. And
oh my God, what happened?
He said that he loves me, but it's different.
Lord. But in this case, there's kind of no way out of this. The cocoon is wrapped up. Yes, there's a transformation happening, which again, I mentioned this transformational energy, a change. But this change is wrought on by metamorphosis. And in this metamorphosis, there's like danger below. And you can interpret whether these swords around this cocoon are protecting them, or protecting, because I also see the Eight of Knives and Eight of Swords as protection. This card, when it comes up, is that you're being protected by something. I feel that in a way, but I'll explain a little bit more. But this is a cocoon. There's swords around in kind of a circle where it doesn't look like they will harm the cocoon, but when it's time for the butterfly to emerge, definitely has to dodge them to avoid being harmed, to leave. So it's like the path is kind of obscured, and a bit of, thinking out of the box is going to dictate whether this butterfly makes it out of this situation. I'll just call it a box room, or the situation, unscathed. So I'm repeating that. And then the additional 2 cards that I got, when it comes to things. So I was also picking up an emotional element. Some of the things that you guys, that I'm feeling that people need to leave behind are relationships. There's some relationships that you need to evaluate, and maybe not evaluate to leave them behind, but there's some things going on that maybe it's a relationship that's like, it's, it's okay. It's not bad. It's not particularly good. Maybe you guys helped each other out in a spot, or, you were very helpful to each other at one point, but now you really don't have that much in common. And I'm not saying you should drop this person, but I am saying that maybe you could distance yourself from this energy, or if you feel like things have gotten stagnant with a relationship. This can be, a friends with benefits relationship. This can be a friendship. This can be a love relationship. If things have cooled, I would say see if you can rekindle that. But if you've been kind of rekindling something, or you just been feeling like, I feel like it's kind of time. Our time is like the time we've kind of time has come to an end, or I feel that. It's just you don't feel like this relationship is like as beneficial as it once was. It's okay to step away for a while. And I'm not even saying that you guys shouldn't be friendly or friends, but sometimes it's just not the right time. Maybe this person's energy in your space, or these people's energy in your space, it could be a person, situation, it could be a work friend or work enemy or work husband, work wife. It could be something like that where you just need to distance yourself a bit emotionally, because it's either affecting you and not allowing you to do things that you need to do, or something else. I feel like you'll know. If this message is for you, I feel like you'll understand and you'll know. And then I'll tell you the cards that I got. So the card at the bottom of the Wild Unknown deck was the 2 of Swords. And then the card at the bottom of the Hoodoo Tarot deck was the 8 of Baskets. Another 8 card. And I mentioned in my post, like at that time, I had only got, like, I'm like, I know people want to talk about the Lionsgate. It's not a real thing, and there's no, proof for it. And I am not denying or debating that fact. But to say that there isn't some type of, something around that day. And I'm not a gate person because, at one time I would see, like, especially these Instagram accounts, and you kind of see it on TikTok too. People will get something that people can really get behind, like, oh, that makes sense. Here's a gate day or this day, or 3-3 or 1-1-1-1 or all this other stuff. I feel like sometimes there are transits that happen around these days that make them like potent or whatever. But also you need to keep in mind, energetically, we as a group of people, collectively humans, who are, we are spiritual beings in these physical bodies. We can create collective energies that do manifest. They're called like egregores, or I forget what the name is. But if you have enough people believing in something, it can manifest. So I'll say that, because I don't necessarily believe in Lionsgate like that. But I will say personally for me, I forget, maybe it was 2018 and 2019 or 19 and 20. But I felt specific energy around Lionsgate Day. And that specific energy that I felt, I don't think I felt it this year as strongly. And last year I didn't feel it as strongly either. But there were 2 years in a row where it felt very potent. And then some people, I saw someone's post mentioning like, the sun conjuncting like Regulus or something, and then something else happening. And I'm like, okay, like it's interesting. Like, I understand how it can be irritating to people to see something going on and you're like, oh, this is not real. But sometimes, we can all believe or disbelieve or have different, opinions of things and still have conversations. Because what I'm starting to find is that there's some people that maybe only tolerated certain things at one point in time, and now, oh God, you know what? I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into it right now. I actually have something to say kind of on what I'm going to get into, what this was going to tap into later. But I'll just say, some things are going to be becoming unpopular, and you're going to see a lot of people denouncing stuff and saying the stuff is evil. They never believed in it, but they definitely sat there and benefited from the community. So I'm not saying one thing or the other, but you have to realize sometimes people, you have to vet people and just pay attention to who does what. I'm just gonna say that and figure it. And you know what? And me saying this, I don't even think, like, let's just say someone believes that. I don't think that there is one way for everyone. And again, getting into this next card, I'm sorry. So I went on a tangent. My apologies. Getting to the rest of this reading, because this is a pretty important part that I was picking up on, where I was saying I'm going to do a negative energy check. And I'm so glad this came up, because sometimes I'm like, do I really need to do an energy check? But I can say every time I pop on Twitter and I do an energy check, I get 2 or 3 people that are like, oh my God, I needed to know, blah, 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 or this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, I'm just glad I was able to, give you that confirmation for you to do the rest of the things that you need to do. The last card was the 2 of Swords, and I think I said that already. And the 2 of Swords, when this card comes up, the thing I think of the most, especially in the past, I would say year or so, are protecting your energetic boundaries. And that has to do with this 8 of Baskets card, this 8 of Cups card here. Because when I'm pulling the 8 of Cups, like I've been doing, just for myself, and I've been recording them and not really putting them up, just reading on situations like true crime. I pinned the one true crime video that I did post on my channel up. But whenever I see this in a true crime, or when I'm pulling on a crime situation, where someone, I don't want to sensationalize it, is why I'm choosing my words carefully. It indicates that there's a situation, a lot of times an emotional, like a situation of which, a situation from which someone needed to move. Like, it can be someone moving from, wait, I have something written down. Moving on from situations that don't serve you. Sometimes, again, like I was saying, people staying in these relationships going, oh, it's harmless, but you get a feeling that something feels off. Nothing feels wrong per se, but something feels off. I started to feel that with someone, and I just decided, like, I'll see whenever I end up talking to this person again, and it's no shade to them, but it would just be, it's just, there's just some stuff that kept on lining up. And sometimes, and this is something I need to say, sometimes it's not the person themselves, it can be their spiritual team around them. I will say I've definitively met 2 to 3 people who they themselves, they're cool, they're chill, they're whatever. But the people around them, their ancestors, woo! If they think that you are in their way, if they think that, it's weird. It's this weird energy that I can't quite describe. But it's like, I can't describe it. I was like, I can't describe it. I'll just say that people's ancestors and spirit guides, sometimes they'll want you in someone's life so you can help them, and not because you're being helped. It'll be more to your detriment, or more they want you in their life because they know that you'll help and they need help. It's not because, like, you need them. And for whatever reason, if it's a lesson that you need to learn in dealing with these type of people, you're going to continue being around this energy until you realize that it's not good for you. And I feel that the 8 of baskets here, that exemplifies that a lot. 8 of cups is what it is in traditional tarot. And baskets are cups. So again, going back to the 2 of swords, this is maintaining your energetic boundaries. And having boundaries, like here, taking this 8 of knives where it's like, okay, like I said, it's an imaginary box. It's making it an actual protective one. Like, if we're going to be in a box, there's not going to be no alternate way in through. You know what I'm saying? There's not going to be an alternate way. We're going to fortify that. We're going to fortify the fence. We're going to fortify the bridges. And we are going to seal in our aura and seal in the energy around us. And you need to realize when you're around certain people, this kind of came up, I don't remember when. There are people who are legitimately energy vampires. And when I say legitimately energy vampires, I mean that they literally zap you from energy. Some people, you're tired after interacting with them, so here is the full moon reading part 2. I was having problems with what I was using to record, and it wasn't doing something properly. But what I can do, or what I should do, rather, is bring up my notes on what I was getting for the energetic. Because this is something that's actually part of something larger that I'm working on. I'm going to be updating the video that I have on, like, what to do, like, and, you know, what's your standard base. And then after you doing this base, when this doesn't work, what you may need to get into. Because, yeah. Okay, so honoring your emotions and emotional and energetic boundaries. So that's what I get when I get the additional meaning that I get when I read on, negative energy checks, and I'm reading on, people's energetic boundaries. Other things, like people that are throwing evil eye, like, where is it coming from? Is it because a person, like, say the person I'm reading for, their boundaries aren't strong, or their, the energy around them isn't too strong, or isn't something of that nature, or the person sending it has a particularly strong, like, sometimes you have to think about it in ways like this. And when I was talking about the 8 of baskets relationships before, sometimes you just kind of have to see how certain people, just how they operate. And sometimes, even if they operate a certain way and they're not bad for you per se, it just might not be good energy for you to be around at a particular time. Like I was alluded to earlier, some people are natural energy harvesters, energy vampires, because they have a low battery. And, well, I don't want to say because that's not, this is one case. Some people just have a low battery at all times, and that's the best way that they know how to get energy. That's what they've always done. They probably don't even know that they're doing it. Does it mean they can't be friends? And then here I am eating ramen, if you're curious. Spicy seafood ramen. Oh my god, it's so good. And it's cold. Like I was saying, sometimes we get in these relationships where we know why we started them, but we don't know why we're still there. And I'm not saying drop anyone, but you may need to distance yourself from the relationship to just see how that relationship, how you might do without the influence of that person or the energy around you. And that's completely normal. Like, sometimes that's just how it works. Like, and I don't want to sound saying, well, that means that person is bad. That's not what it means. Sometimes it's just how things go. Sometimes people outgrow each other. Sometimes people just aren't on the same wavelength anymore. And it just doesn't, mesh well anymore. It doesn't mean that you still can't be friends or friendly. Just sometimes you need to understand it's just not the time for you to be near each other. Again, so going back to this Two of Swords energy and what I was picking up initially, which was, I lost my train of thought, but basically, it's a time to clear. And do you need a reading to clear? No. I can really just tell y'all to take your spiritual bath, to, cleanse, to do whatever, and that's probably what I probably will do. I'll hop on my Twitter page, I'll hop on TikTok, or maybe, and say, hey, you guys need to cleanse. You guys need to clear. Excuse me. For people that feel called to, but, I feel like it's a good, energetic, something that everyone can do. And then, pay attention to, like, your relationships. Pay attention to, like, when we talk about boundaries and on social media, is there someone that you've been wanting to block that you're like, and it's being okay to say, hey, I'm getting weird energy from this person, let me block them. It's okay to block people. Like, it doesn't mean that you wish them bad. I blocked a couple people. Like, there was one person, I'm not going to go into it, but they were basically, I don't know, they said something about me. And it was so innocuous. It was like, because I was nice to you one time when I saw people ragging on you online, and then maybe months later I felt kind of weird energy from this person, so I just blocked them. It felt weird. It felt stalking. It felt, you know what I'm saying? And you know how you know that you did the right thing usually? Is that as soon as I would block a person, I would feel instantly better. Like that weird energy I'd be feeling, it would feel instantly better. And I'm like, I'm not tripping. You know what I mean? Because if I was tripping or if I was wrong, blocking that person wouldn't get rid of that feeling. Some people are just extra sensitive to others' energy. And when you are, and you pick up on something, like sometimes I can feel like someone's irritated with me. But, I used to really bother myself about other people's feelings. At the end of the day, all you can do is tell people what you have to offer or what you can and cannot do. And if they can't meet you there, then they just can't meet you there. You know what I'm saying? Everything despite, money exchanging hands. Sometimes it's like, okay, I have this. You don't owe anybody anything. You really don't. What you owe yourself is maintaining your own emotional health. And for some people, they don't realize that they're so codependent on other people. They require interaction from others. And some people are just like, nah, I'm good. It's okay to say, nah, I'm good. And if the person that needs that connection, they need to either go somewhere else, figure out how to be self-sustaining, or, do other things. But I feel like a big problem, and I'm not saying is I don't have this myself, but it's the levels of codependency that we get onto, and it's something that I never liked in the spiritual world. People would get people hooked on their readings. I don't want someone to check in with me every day for their energy check-in. I know people have routines, and that's fine, but some people feel like I would get people, and what really made me a bit disheartened with the spiritual, like, and it was the type of clients I was getting, would be people who are just so wrapped up in, oh, I saw this reading on YouTube, and that means, I met one person that caught her man up because of that, but this person was an extremely intuitive person herself. She did readings for other people. She came across something at the right time, and she felt something tingly, and she called that man. I mean, they were broke up, but she called him. She said, yo, are you fucking other bitches right now? Like, this is me rephrasing. Are you fucking other bitches right now? Listen, the way she said his reaction was, he was like, so what? He's like, I could be, like, we're not together. And she was like, are you really fucking other bitches? It was funny. She didn't call them bitches, but she said, are you having sex with someone? Did you have sex with someone today? And he was shook, because they had been, like, separated, like, with the, they were on a break, and they had been separated maybe 2 days. On that second day, going into that third day, she was like, something don't feel right. So it was good for her, because she's the type of person of, if that was kept from her, she didn't know, that's probably something that would ended their relationship. They are actually married right now. They're actually married right now. You need to realize what are the lessons here. And I may go through and write things down, but, with this 8 of baskets, I really feel, and 8 of cups, what I was starting to say in the other reading before I got cut off was that when I get this in, like, when I'm reading on crime or true crime, it's indicative to me of something that maybe there was a point where there was a situation where I can't describe it. There was a situation where maybe it was the end of a relationship, maybe this was a couple that broke up, maybe this was a fight within, people in the family, and they didn't quite patch things up, but it was time for someone to leave the dynamic, grow something, and maybe come back. Maybe these people could have reconciled at another time, and then reconciled at another time. I'm seeing 8-8 right now. That's why I'm cracking up. And maybe went from there. But it's telling me that someone staying in a relationship, in a situation, at a job that doesn't serve you. And some people, they just can't stay in these situations, because then bad things will start to happen. And I don't mean this as in saying, well, if you stay in some place, bad things are going to happen. I feel it's because the energy is down. And if you were truly miserable in a place, like, it's giving empath. It's giving empath that manifests things. Because some people do that. I thought, like, it depends. So anyways, let me see. Moving on from emotional situations. Moving on from situations that don't serve you. Whenever I get that card in the truth, it feels like it can be a fight. Like, it can be like, it's like something came to a head because of this energy here. So anyways, it means that there's a situation that needs to be addressed. And it requires, like, a clarifier. But I'll just say that. What else? Child, I can't believe it's 5 already. Oh, God. Also, with the 8 of Swords, asking your ancestors and spirit guides for help and grace. Just because you can't see the way out, you're believing that there is a way, and that you're asking your ancestors, spirit guides, the universe, to show you the way, or to provide you the tools, or to give you insight to see what the hell to do here. If you're getting this card, I feel like that's what part of what the energy of this card here is. Sometimes I read it as protection. Like, I read it, that person being wrapped up in that cocoon, is that person is protected and has armor around them. It can mean that, but in the more traditional sense of things, this is what this is indicating in this spread. and this Two of Swords coming up. Again, traditionally, I understand it typically means like being between two, I don't say two positions, but sometimes, like, I think of the Rider-Waite, the woman with two choices, like being between, not a rock and a hard place, but being between two things, being indecisive, being really weighing on two different options. It can mean that, it can refer to that, but in this instance, I don't feel that that is the, I don't feel like that is the message here. The other meaning, or the other thing that Two of Swords can indicate, can be like a relationship, keeping a relationship balanced. But I think right here it is making a choice to do or not do, making a choice to uphold, work on your energetic boundaries or not. I mean, because I think that you can be like, oh, like it's kind of an either or, and it kind of sounds strange because I understand that not everyone feels up to it all the time. As I go through, as you can go through my, like, I haven't been on here a whole lot and talking about it because I can't talk about the same thing over and over and over again. Some people like talking about the same thing over and over again, or I don't know how people do that, and maybe this is my brain, my neurodivergent brain is weird. I always have to be moving to different topics, but this is something that I always come back to, and people ask me, so what do I do? And I'm like, this is what you do. Okay, so here's the next part. We're going to talk about some of the things that you can do leading up to this full moon. Like, okay, so I got the message. Even if you don't listen to the message, here are some things based off of the message I channeled for like the collective, and kind of partly on the astro weather, and towards the end of the live stream that I did on my channel, or, you know, the video I did on my channel. I mentioned, I looked at the transits, and the transits that I saw were Saturn conjunct the full moon, and then also Uranus and North Node squaring the full moon, were the major transits I feel like my reading picked up on when it came to the cards. So, like, so what are the things I can do leading up to this full moon? What I would say is start checking in with yourself, and checking in with, since the last new moon, or even since the last full moon, or what are some things that, some situations you've been through, that you've come through the other side, you may have a little bit of baggage dealing with. What are some emotional things that you've been putting off? Are there some things that you can process before then, or things that you're ready to let go? I would say, depending on how you do, you know, full moon work, I would write these things down, you know, burn them the day leading up to the full moon or on the full moon, to release those things that, you know, as a symbol of you, those things don't affect you anymore, or you doing a symbolic after you processed it. The other thing I would mention is I'm always going to tell you to take a salt bath, take a spiritual bath, do an egg cleanse, and use rosemary to sage out your space. But if you can do just one thing, salt is abundant and it's everywhere. You can use salt to cleanse yourself. If you don't have a bath, you can't get into a bathtub, dissolve it in water, let it cool, or add some hot water to it. And then use it to pour over yourself in your shower. Make sure you wash it all down, wash yourself down, and, you know, get into something clean, spray yourself down with Florida water and or holy water, or a mix of them both if you are religious, mind you. Some people aren't, and they prefer just to use Florida water. Or any other spiritual water that comes from like your personal tradition, family tradition, spiritual, cultural, things of that nature. I don't want to say that's pretty much it. Check in with your relationships. Are there people who you have codependent relationships with? Are there people who have been, I don't want to say stressing you out, but are there relationships that have kind of been causing more problems than, I hate the term, than what they're worth? Are there people who it seems like when you are involved with them, or this people, or this is situations, it could be hobbies, it doesn't have to necessarily be a person. It could be person, place, thing, career, co-workers. It could be a job that you need to leave. It could be a school you get this energy from. And if you're in the situation where, yeah, I'm here, but I need this place, I would start working on thinking your way out of there. Even if you have already, like, think of some of the simple things. Asking your ancestors. The very last thing that I wrote down when I was writing yesterday, after I pulled those initial cards, was asking your ancestors, spirit guides, and the universe for help, for grace, especially if you can't personally see a way out. If, according to your eyes or what you see or what you know, there is no way out. Like, you're between a rock and a hard place, and there's no observable way out. Ask for assistance, and just specifically make sure that it's your ancestors, that is from people who want the best for you. Now, if you're on the other side of things, if you do left-hand path work, then you know what to do. I feel like you may have understanding or find someone that can advise you in that way. But the way that I speak in general for people is more, is definitely more right-hand path. Just because I think, I won't say what I think, but I'll just say for obvious reasons. I feel like if you're a left-hand path worker, you probably understand what I'm talking about. Yeah. So if you're like, what can I do? Take a spiritual bath. You can't take a spiritual bath. You're not going to have herbs available to you. Take a salt bath. If you have candles and things of that nature, I would say, one, light you up a reversal candle. Just because the energy of what I'm picking up is some stuff is being sent your way. And some of the stuff is like, reversal isn't just for people that are sending you weird energy. It could be if there's energy around you that's not yours. If you put that intention in that reversal candle, you can like detach and help remove some of that energy. You would do this after you would take your spiritual bath. Now, if you have all the things and you're like, I want to do everything, I have all my things, I honestly would recommend watching the video that I have. I might have unlisted it, so I'll put it back public. But you want to do Olympia, then do a salt bath, salt rinse, and then you're gonna make yourself up an herbal bath. And here's the thing: when you do the salt, you want to make yourself 2 batches of bath water. You want to make one that has salt in it, and you want to have one that doesn't have salt in it. You don't want the salt staying on your skin for a determined amount of time. As far as my practice and how I do it. Now, if there are some people that mix the salt in with their spiritual bath and they leave it, they rinse themselves down and they keep that on themselves. That's their business. To me, that just feels wrong. For what I can't even explain to you why it feels wrong. It feels wrong to me. I've never gotten, like, when I get the suggestions for what people to do, I've never gotten that, and it to me feels weird. So I'm never gonna recommend that. But if you are just like, hey, I don't have the energy to make 2 separate ones, okay. I'm like, okay. Me personally, I never do it. Because it just, to me, the energy feels weird, off. I don't know. I would say it has a draining effect on me if I really put a point to it. Keeping salt on my body, that's meant to help to seal in the energy, seal in my aura. It feels like the salt makes it leaky. Salt is used to help remove, detach a lot of the energy that you've picked up that's not yours. And I don't know, something about it staying on my skin. And maybe it's just a practice of like how a lot of, African traditional religions do things, and just the African traditions. I'll say traditions. Although my practice is informed by ATR, the way my ATR is informed is not quite like anyone else's. And this is not a good or bad thing. It's just my personal way that it happens. And it's very family based. I'll just say that. It's very based on people who practice within my family. And yeah, I'll just say that. What's the other thing? So if you're like, okay, I want to go all out, I would recommend do the Olympia egg cleanse, then do the salt wash. Make sure you put salt on yourself, pour salt on yourself, or get into a salt bath. And then you're going to take a bath, like wash yourself down with soap. Goodness gracious. Then you're going to wash yourself down with soap. And then you are going to, after you wash yourself down with soap and you rinse yourself, something I like to do, if you don't want to deal with the herbs, I like to add aloe to the herbal base as my rinse because it's good. It's also energetically sealing and protecting and purifying. And I like to pour that on myself and rub it down, and then wrap myself in a big towel or a robe. And, well, some people say air dry. I can't. Like, I have to get into a robe or something. Like, I won't consciously dry myself. Like, I will air dry, but where I'm rubbing myself down, but I will wrap myself in something. I'm not walking around cold. That's just me. Some people will sit on a towel and air dry and, like, have a fan towards them. After you pour the herbal spiritual bath on yourself, I would say to repeat that. So if you're going to do this, I would say do it on Thursday, do it on Friday, and then do it on Saturday. You don't have to repeat the salt part. You just need to repeat the rinse part. And you would do the rinse on the following 2 days after you take your shower. Rinse, like do the rinse. Some people shower every other day. Listen, I have no judgment. If that's the case, I would recommend like you force yourself to take a bath, or you do it for the next 3 times you shower. It's more effective if you do it, on the new day. That would be my suggestion. That's like kind of like the base. What I ask people that before they come to me for cleansings, have you done this? Have you done Olympia? Have you done this? That's kind of what I ask people do. Like, you can come, without these things done, but when you do this, you're stripping all the extra energy, all the loose energy, all the stuff that may be affecting you, but that you can easily remove and detach on your own very easily. And if you can do this same procedure for 9 days in a row, to really get a deep, like, energetic cleansing of yourself. And then after that, see how things are, see how you feel, see how your space is. But after that, I would say do a rosemary sage. You can use kitchen sage to sage with. My recommendation, and I probably need to get this in my shop. I had this before, but I just, I can't find it consistently, and I don't want to have something that I can't offer consistently. Rosemary and mugwort. Anyways, I'll say rosemary and mugwort. So, but cleanse with rosemary. And if you can't find a rosemary, smudge stick, honestly, get you some rosemary get you some regular, rosemary, like fresh rosemary. You have to plant it though. If you have an air fryer, put it in your air fryer on low for an hour or 2. It'll dry out, or, leave it by a fan so it can dry out so that you can use it. Or you can buy the herb, but I think buying the sprigs is a bit cheaper. I think they're like $3 for a good amount. Or you can get the dried kind. You can get the powdered kind if you want.